Let's go bad cop, right? Good cop, bad cop. First segment, good cop. After a win, you want to start with good cop, right? You want to say all the things your team did well. You want to celebrate. You want to make sure there's no disrespect. And then you watch the film, right? And then you dive in, and then you ask, what could we have done better? If we dominated the way that it feels like we dominated, why were we down 1-0 so late in the game? Why did we need overtime? That's a good question. And it brings us right to where so much of the debate around the Canes system comes from, which is shots on goal are awesome, but not every shot on goal is created the same, right? Not every shot attempt is created the same. There was a stat passed around yesterday. The Canes had 94 shot attempts in that game, which is absurd.
That's a lot.
Washington had 34 shot attempts.
That's not as many.
In inner slot shots, Canes had 7. Washington had 6. Right? So despite taking so many less shots, they at certain levels of high risk shots, high leverage shots, Washington was getting nearly as many. So that's where the crux of it is for the Canes. Right? It's the context, it's the nuance. I like counting shots on goal as much as anybody, and I do that for guys like Svech. Like, I'm just like, hey man, I don't care where they are. Give me 5 shots on goal and I'll be happy, because I think Svech, when he's aggressive, is a better player. But at a certain point, you have to look around and go, all right, maybe not just any shot on goal, right? At a certain point, it's if there's one more pass for a better shot, if there's a chance you can take to get closer to the net or closer to the crease, go ahead and give me that, because not every shot is created equal, even though part of the Canes system is shots on goal, shots on goal, shots on goal. Part of their system is good things happen when you get pucks on net, and it's true, but there has to be some kind of a balance. At one point in time, during the broadcast, right, because away game we're watching on our couch, they put up the shot chart, right, with the little dots on everywhere that a shot on goal had been taken. And, I mean, the Canes, it looked like a Steph Curry shot chart. It was like, do you get 3 points for being out beyond an arc anywhere? Because they're taking them from distance. It's like, is this Pete Maravich, where it's like you're making 30-footers even though it's just a 2 because you can? Like, is that what we're doing out there before the 3-point line was invented? It's there is something along those lines of be a tiny bit more selective, which is weird coming from me, because normally I'm like, don't be precious, let it fly. There's a little bit of that. The other things we like, Dennis, I know you brought up some advanced analytics stats to me off air of how dominant the Aho line was.
Yeah, especially going against Tom Wilson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Connor McMichael. They're absolutely all over the ice on them. For example, when Aho's line was out there against Dubois, McMichael, and Wilson, the shot attempts with Aho on the ice against that crew was 23-2.
Pretty darn good.
23-2. And just in terms of 5-on-5.
Yep. And leading with that is fantastic. The flip side is, like, Sebastian Aho, right? He needs to, in order for the Canes to reach their highest potential, he needs to be a guy that can take 23 shot attempts for his line and find the back of the net more, set up his guys for gimmies more. But I'm not worried about it, because he's going to have his moments, right? We've talked about this in the past. If you're going to choose between your stars having an off night and your supporting cast having an off night, you choose the stars because you're most confident they'll bounce back. You're most confident they can force their way into a rhythm with pure talent. Jarvis is going to have his moments. There were points in time where, you'd go half a period and you'd be like, has Jarvis done much? You forgot about it. That's not going to happen often. And it usually means he's doing so many of the little things that we don't notice that are using his energy and attention in other ways. Like, those guys will be fine. They'll have their moments. Same is true. And there's no real excuse for something like this. But Shane Gostisbehere was out of character last night, right? I've sung the praises of how quickly decisive he is. Puck does not grow roots when it's in his possession, but I mean the goal kind of directly off of him mishandling a puck at one point, and this is not an exaggeration. He had a beautiful leak out pass for the other team.
Yeah, for Ryan Leonard on that breakaway in the third. Beautiful pass right on the tape.
Nice little outlet. Really, really, I don't know, maybe he thought Freddie needed to look alive, so he just gave one back the other direction. I don't think he will have many perfect outlet passes to Ryan Leonard in the future, right? There are certain parts of the game that were obviously like, ooh, don't love that, but also, ooh, I'm not going to worry about that becoming the new norm because I trust the players that are involved. There's not going to be a ton of games where Aho and Jarvis don't produce points. I don't believe from this point forward there will be many games where those two guys are not super productive. I also don't think Shane Gostisbehere is going to be a guy who, goes 10 years in the NHL and then suddenly forgets how to protect the puck in the offensive zone, especially as a guy that quarterbacks power plays and things and has a ton of experience seeing the full ice. It was not perfect by any stretch, but there wasn't a ton there that makes me go, they better fix that by the next one. Part of it is just like, all right, then, that was an off moment for somebody I trust. I'm not going to burn all of our trust because of an off moment.
Yeah, they had a ton of shot attempts, as we discussed, but a ton of them blocked. Again, give credit to Washington for willing to step into those lanes, but it's also on you as a shooter, especially on the blue line, to make sure those shots get through. Whether it's a quick lateral step or maybe get the puck off your stick a little bit faster. But also, when the puck does get through, got to have more bodies just in front of the net. It's not unironic that Slavin's game winner shot that gets past the first guy, and guess who's standing right there in front of the net? It's Jarvis.
Yep.
And guess what? I got to give a ton of credit for Slavin, Jarvis, and Martinook on that game-winning goal because none of those guys were tied up. Like Slavin kind of was, but his stick was down on the ice free. So if the puck does hit off Thompson's pad, it's literally right to Stahl's stick, and he's banging home a rebound.
Yep.
All of it that's what they needed more of from the game.
Going into one commercial break, they did play a little montage of Canes blocking Canes shots where they just couldn't get out of the way. And literally I'm going like, just get out of your own way. That's not even a phrase. That's not a turn of words at the moment. Like literally get out. And eventually they did, right? Eventually they did. So as goofy as it looks when they play it in slow motion in a montage going into a commercial break, and it's just Gostisbehere letting it rip and Martinook trying to get small and taking it off the shoulder. Like as goofy as it looks, it does mean you're in the right spot. It does mean your fundamentals are there. You're 1% off, and that's all the difference until you're not 1% off, and then Slavin gets the goal and he puts his arms up and everyone runs around him like he's Rocky after running around Philly. It was he doesn't think this way, but there's going to be some cool pictures for his man cave later on, right after that.
Oh, yeah.
Happy for Slavin. And also, Slavin, offensive threat. He now has maybe the two prettiest goals of the postseason. Maybe not prettiest, this one, but the obvious highlight in the first round against the Devils was that Game 4.
Yeah.
Now he has the game winner in overtime to start the second round. That's, Slavin. Come on, man. Give me a goal a game now. Let's open it up. Show everybody that you're not the best defensive defenseman in the league. You're not only that, I should say, but also an offensive threat.